is better.
So Pet Sematary is the latest in the Stephen King adaptations that they've come back to do. Granted, there has already been Pet Sematary done before, but this is kind of a new rendition to the story as they start to go more into his book and his lore of stuff. I will say that this movie is decent. I thought that the graphics and everything is definitely up to date and par as far as the feel of Stephen King that is for this movie.
It definitely does take that first movie that we got, and of course the book, and it updates it. It is for anybody who has never seen Pet Sematary, or Pet Sematary 2 with Edward Furlong, it is perfect for you. You are getting a very well done, put together, orchestrated version of Pet Sematary for the new age, and for that I loved it.
Yeah, because I will say that the older Pet Sematary is definitely a very kind of
dated
for its time.
Yeah,
and just like because we actually watched it after we watched this Pet Sematary, and it's just kind of to see the similarities and everything between the two of them, and it was just interesting that the certain things that they go with, and I applaud them for what they did for this movie, how they changed certain aspects of the movie, and I felt like it fit for what they were trying to do for this version of Pet Sematary.
A lot of it is the same. Quite a bit of it is the same if you end up watching them back to back. Like she said, we watched Pet Sematary 1, the original, and 2 right after watching this one. Granted, we have seen the other ones, but it was a refresher, and to see the movies like held up next to each other, there is almost a carbon copy to a point, but yes, there are changes in this one that definitely give you a fresh take on it. For me though, it wasn't that I didn't buy into them, I didn't find them scary. So switching over to the girl from Gage, to me, didn't feel scary to me. I didn't find her creepy once it actually went down.
I think for me personally, I like the way that they went with, instead of doing Gage, that they went with Ellie instead.
Sure.
So, because I feel like she was a little bit creepier, even though she was more like just kind of there and stuff. Just the way that they made her in this movie was a little bit creepier than the way that Gage was in the other movie.
I just love Gage. No fair. John Lithgow did an amazing job. I love him. I love him in this movie. It feels very fresh without him just trying to copy, but he definitely pays homage to that character while making it John Lithgow. Jason Clarke, like the two of them together, I really enjoyed, and I think it brought the best out of Jason Clarke. Everyone in this movie, I felt, brought the best out of Jason Clarke. My favorite Jason Clarke movie is Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, and I think that this one definitely brought a lot out of him, a lot of emotion. He's kind of gotten the raw deal in certain movies, Terminator, Jenny Smith, but yeah, this one, I feel like he definitely really took that character. I felt for him for sure as everything was going down. Like, damn, things just do not go right for this family the second they show up in this new town. So I would have been out of there at the first freaking creepy procession in the backyard. But yeah, no, I would have been out of there long ago before all that ish hit the fan. But I mean, no, he did a good job.
Just having something like a Pet Sematary in the woods like that's just creepy on its own.
Right. But the discussions, the dialogue that they end up having is very natural, and I love it. Like, I'm definitely more on the side of Jason Clarke throughout this whole movie, but at the same time, like, there are some very graphic, very violent scenes in this movie that are just, they're very realistic to the point where it's like, damn, like that sucks. That is terrible.
Yeah.
But it definitely brings it a little bit more legitimacy when they kind of show you these things, that these visions that they're having are so graphic to the point where it's scary how real a lot of this stuff is.
Yes, and I wish that they can I wish that there was a lot more that they could have brought from the book.
Sure.
Because definitely, obviously, there's a lot more lore that, especially in the book, but I think based off of the information that they got, or the stuff that they have in this movie is very, it's very for the first movie indeed. It's just kind of different in some aspects of it, but It'll be interesting if they decide to do a sequel to it.
I wish they would just make Pet Sematary 2. Just, I mean, Clancy Brown did such a good job in that one. Even though the movie itself feels like a made-for-TV type sequel. But yeah, Anthony Edwards, Edward Furlong, and of course Clancy Brown. I enjoy that movie quite a bit. Now, the first half of this movie, for me, I actually enjoyed more than the second half of the movie. I thought the ambiance, the atmosphere, the music, the build-up was something that I definitely was in. Like, I was locked in for it. And then when everything finally started happening, because it takes a long time till you get to the whole Pet Sematary aspect of it, when it finally started happening, I wasn't really in it anymore. Like, I just didn't feel creeped out by it. I just, for some reason, that connecting and acting that everybody had together, I felt there was like a dissociation between the characters when it really just logic gets thrown out the window. And it happened in the first Pet Sematary too, where it's like, why are you doing these stupid things? Grief is a hell of a thing. And I didn't see the responses to the grief that I feel that would have been a little bit more realistic. That is where Jason Clarke stops there, and it just becomes a different way than I would have thought that he would have gone if they wanted to make it a little more fresh than just going the way it was in the original.
See, for me, I feel like I kind of disagree with you on there, because I think that you could see it in his eyes, like that, just that guilt and that torment that happened when, you know, it starts to pick up. And even though he's not like uncontrollable, it's just he has to, he is holding it back, and you can feel that too. And he's just doesn't really know how to feel at the same time though too. Because, you know, it's like, it's something that you can't believe that it happened, but at the same time you're just kind of like stricken with grief so much that it just doesn't really convey in front of you. Sure. And that's what I got from it, from that whole scene. And I think that Jason Clarke was definitely, he could have gone different ways with the way that he acted.
I felt it was a little undersold.
See, for me, I thought that it was, I thought it was on par. I think that he did.
It fits the original. Yeah, it fits what happened in the original.
And I think that because he has to be kind of that strong person there, but at the same time he's just so deeply like, and you can see it in his eyes, like eyes too. He's guilted. Or he feels guilt and all that stuff, and then that's when he starts.
Because he moved them there, man. Like that's the bottom line. That's the lowest common denominator, is that he moved them there, and it led to all this tragedy. But the Stephen King universe, I feel like when we do go into this movie, we are in the Stephen King universe. Yes. So for that, I'm happy. Like you said, it feels like Stephen King in his universe he's created, even in the TV shows or the miniseries or the ones that made it to the theater. Like, it just feels a part of it. Of course, crazy amounts of hallucinations and daydreaming and stuff. That's always a part of Stephen King.
That's always a Stephen King thing.
But to me, that's when we're like, okay, look, we're gonna make a scary scene, hallucination scene, and it's like, well, I want to see what's happening in the real world, but again, that's how the original Pet Sematary was, so I get it.
Yeah, but it's kind of like also on the fact that that could possibly happen because your mind and stuff is like playing tricks on you, and it's just sometimes you think something's there when it's really not, and it's just,
to me, there's no explanation to it, and Pennywise is the explanation to it. This, they don't really, like, there's no, like, in the forest, there's something going on out there, but then there's stuff going on everywhere, and it's like, well, why is it everywhere?
Gotta read the book.
Yeah, but that's the thing, is this movie's supposed to lay it out for me, and they don't. They don't dive into what else is really going on and why they're all affected. They don't cover any of that.
Well, that's the other thing too, is that they're kind of taking the main plot of the story and giving it to you in movie form, and that happens with all the movies that you've come across when it comes from a book to a movie adaptation, that they kind of take the core key points of those books and make a movie.
Sounds to me like she's looking for a motive. Hey, Stu?
Norman Bates have a motive?
No.
Did they ever really decide why Hannibal Lecter liked to eat people?
Don't think so.
But the thing is, you don't really need to know the rhyme or reason to it. Just go in. And the problem is I liked the world they built. I would have liked more. Like, they don't even kind of do that pull-up shot like they do in the other Perfect Strangers, in the other Pet Sematary movies, where you get to see the burial ground. Like, this is just like a dirt patch on a mountain. Like, they don't even show it. It's just kind of like this little small area is where it happens. Yeah, but they didn't really show the area where it doesn't feel like a Native American burial ground to me. It's like, just in this area, the soil will bring it back to life. They don't really add anything to it that was very scary, in my opinion, growing up with the first Pet Sematary, that I'm like, damn, when you see the rock formation in a circle, you're like, oh dang, it's a character, that's scary. But they don't do any of that here, so I'm like, okay, well, it's just a scary forest. But what would you give Pet Sematary?
I think that I would give it, now thinking about it a lot with you, I'd actually give it a 4 out of 5.
Sure.
I liked it enough to maybe watch it again, possibly when it comes out, or go see it again in the theaters. However, I'm more, when it comes to Stephen King adaptations, I'm still a part of the It Club, the Losers Club, because that's my favorite book. So, but yeah.
I also have to base my rating off of the music, the score. Not really memorable to me. And I just felt like if there was an identity to the forest, when we're in the forest and we know that something strange is afoot, like where's that theme? And for me, it would have been perfect if they ended up doing the drum beat that's in the trailer, because like that's a very ominous thing, and add a little music to it, and it didn't have to be physical people out there doing the drum thing, but having that drum beat when they're out there walking through the forest to go and bury their own, I would have felt like, oh dang, like we're in the forest, that's cool to add that. So to me, it's just, it was lacking certain things, so I would give it a 3 out of 5. So what did you guys think of Pet Sematary? If you saw it, let us know down below. If you didn't see it, what are some of your reservations keeping you from watching it? Tell us down there. You guys, you can also like and subscribe.
And do the thing on our Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, Instagram, Stardust.
All the social networking gin joints, you know where they are. Kicking the party, fuel the party, keep the party going on our Patreon. Gets us where we need to go. Check out the review we did for Shazam as well. Saw it a while ago, but the review is still available on our channel now, so find out what we thought about that one too. So thank you guys so much, and as always,
now it's time to say goodbye.
This party is over. Bye.